What's going on? What's going on, everybody? It is the only sports podcast. I'm Will. That's Casino over there. We are recording this on Halloween, Casino. So, what is that terrifying costume you're wearing?
Turtleneck.
You in a turtleneck. Just absolutely terrifying. My costume this year, my 2-year-old wanted to be a banana. So he wanted me to be a banana with him. So I am also a banana. The issue is I was going to wear it for the podcast, except it's in my wife's car. My wife is not here at the moment. So that gag where, remember last year I was Shaggy for the whole podcast? It's already done. I was trying to look for alternate costumes around here, and I got nothing, Casino.
Yeah,
so I'm
that's
sorry
fair.
I failed the podcast.
Well, you failed.
I failed it. Ugh. Yeah, just in life, on this podcast, to poison you on episode 7, all these things that I set up and planned just all fell flat on my face. Ignore that last one. But all right, Casino. It was a...
I think there's a bit of a lag again.
Probably, but we'll do the best we can.
Yep, it's Halloween. It's spooky. Yay. As my kid says, Halloween!
The scariest thing on a podcast is a lag, so we're just trying to make it authentic to the day, right? Like, this is terrifying. So
ha, 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 ha. That was from the joke that you told like 3 minutes ago.
It deserved way more than that. But we have so much news to talk about today, Casino. But
I don't even know where to start.
Before we get into the games, actually, let's talk about what is recent news, which is all the trades that are happening right now in the NFL. And by right now, I mean within the last hour. I'll just run through them and then give me your thoughts on, I guess, just these ones, and then if any more happen. The latest one, probably the biggest one up to this moment, has been Jamar Chase, or not? No, I'm sorry, not
Chase
Jamar.
Young.
Chase Young,
there you go.
Has been traded to the 49ers from the Commanders for a 3rd-round pick. We also have Joshua Dobbs being traded from the Cardinals to the Vikings, and we'll obviously talk about the whole Kirk Cousins situation when we get to that game. And then there is also talk of Davante Adams after last night's game, but basically the news on that one has just been there's no chance of that happening. The Raiders don't want to trade Davante Adams. But
you see how pissed off he was last night. That wide open throw that was missed, wide open. Garoppolo had him. He could have walked into the end zone. Just totally missed him. Anyway.
But that's always been the Garoppolo thing, right? Like he misses those deep on the sideline wide open throws. That's why they lost the Super Bowl. He connects that almost exact same pass in the Super Bowl, and they win. So
I love that they showed the close up of Davante on the sideline, just cursing and throwing things and angry. It was great.
Yeah. I would be angry as well. But of those two that have happened so far, and if more happen, we'll jump in with breaking news, Casino. Thoughts on Chase Young, and then more so thoughts on Joshua Dobbs, who gets traded to the Vikings. Kirk Cousins is out for the seasons at the moment. And then there were rumors that the Vikings and Buccaneers were going to trade. No, not Buccaneers. Saints were going to do a trade for Jameson Winston, and both sides were super excited about it. And then Josh Dobbs comes out of nowhere.
You know what? And we both talked about it. We kind of like Dobbs, and I picked him up for my fantasy. I had him on my bench, but I should have started him. But he did 22 points, man. I like him. I think he's a good quarterback, and I think he'll thrive so much better. I think we're really about to see. My kid is so excited for Halloween tonight, like absolutely excited. But I really think that we're gonna see what Josh Dobbs can really do in Minnesota. He's got weapons. He's got actually a decent team, much better than Arizona. So I'm excited just to see, for his sake, what he can do in Minnesota with some weapons. I know that they have, Jefferson out, which would have been awesome to see him play with that kind of caliber talent. But still, I'm excited to see what he can do going from Arizona over there. I think that's a fun trade, but I think the more impactful trade is going to be the Chase Young trade. I really think that that's going to help out that 49ers team that doesn't need too much help, but it's just going to make them even tougher. Yes, I know they're on a bit of a losing skid here. We can get into that soon, but I have my thoughts on that, on why that's happening. But yeah, I think the Chase Young one is going to be the bigger of the two of the major trades that are out there.
Yeah. And Joshua Dobbs at the moment, right now, he is ranked 19th in the league in QBR, ahead of Russell Wilson, Sam Howell, your quarterback, Mac Jones. He's kind of like almost right around the middle of the pack of good quarterbacks in the league. So Kirk
And now we'll
Cousins
be able,
was
and now we'll
number,
be able to see what he can do with a better team. Like
yeah.
I said, this is going to be able to. He's going to be able to shine, or he's going to dwindle out and be flamed out. I don't know. I'm watching Elemental. It's got it on. It's a really good
It's a good
movie.
movie. It's
Yeah,
a pretty good movie.
I know. I remember when I
But
came out of the theater, I asked how many times that you cried, and you said multiple. So that's great.
yeah, I think I said
Great,
3
great
or
movie.
4.
I think you said 3.
Great. I think it was 3. But yeah, great movie. Check it out if you have not. We're getting paid by Disney to mention this.
Sponsor us.
But with that being said, Casino, let's jump into the games. How do you think you did on the picks this week?
I don't think I did too bad. I would say 9. I'm calling 9.
You got 11.
Ooh,
11.
I'm
The
coming back up to that 13 benchmark.
maybe your most shocking pick, which I still don't understand what you were doing, is you picked the Bears over the Chargers. Why?
Yeah, I was given. I don't
What
know.
did you see going into that game?
That's
But
that's
me,
the
on the
most
other
shocking
hand,
pick. That's the most shocking pick.
yeah.
I thought
The
you were
other
going to ream me
ones,
for picking the Rams over the Cowboys.
no, because I was definitely flirting with picking the Rams and the Bengals, but Cowboys are coming off a bye, so I was like, they had that.
I picked the
So
Bengals. I think.
you did pick the Bengals. That was
There
one
we
of your
go.
picks. So
Yeah,
the picks we differed on this week were the Eagles Commanders. I picked Commanders for reverse jinx and
you can't blame your
mark it
loss.
on the
No,
board.
no, the reverse jinx. That we should
Mark
just
it on the
make those a
board.
wash. No,
We differed on the Rams Cowboys. You picked Rams. I picked Cowboys. My reasoning was basically just because they're coming off a bye.
yeah, and Cowboys are hot and cold.
Yeah. Saints Colts. Now, I picked Colts
Oh.
because I thought that game would be much closer than it was. And actually, let's start with that game just because it was such a, I don't know, just that was one of the weirder games to me. The Saints just absolutely blow out the Colts 38-27. That game never felt close. I obviously was watching the Eagles game during this one, but I had it on my phone and it kept cutting back to this game. And what do you make of this Saints team, Casino? They are currently 4-4.
They're a 4-4 team. They can be good. They can be bad. I don't know really what else to say. What is that, honey? Can you go check that out, please? Please? Sorry, there's something coming, very strange sound coming from our child's bedroom, and it's like, I don't know what she's doing in there.
Oh, God, she found your toys.
I mean, yeah.
Yeah, but
Because that's where I hide my toys. Is in my
under your
child's
bed. I've
Yeah.
always said it's a bad place to put them, but you
Well,
swear by it. But
sorry.
as far as
This pod's already on a. We came in without a plan. We're already off the rails.
Yeah, it's Halloween. Casino's drunk. I'm
I,
drunk off
I'm
candy.
not. It's a shocker. I know.
Maybe you should be drunk. Maybe that's
I'll
where the
be.
issue is.
Yeah.
Yeah. But
So what you're saying is we're gonna do this podcast tonight.
yeah, let's in costume, fully sugared up. But as of the cheat or as of the Saints right now, should I say, fifth in total defense. And that's even after a game where I didn't think their defense looked that great. I mean, the Colts still scored uh basically 4 touchdowns. Gardner Minshew had a lot of attempts, but Jonathan Taylor almost had 100. Zach Moss almost had 70. I don't know. This just again, I don't know why we wanted to. I wanted to start with this game. It just feels like such the weird NFC South this year feels like the NFC South of last year, where it's all of them are kind of
Right in there, right in the fix of things to win it.
yeah, and it's just like if
Because the
we
Bucks
look
won it
at
last year at 9-8, right?
yes. And remember, it was just like the last game or the last 2 games of the season. It was basically like whoever wins
No, I
2 games in
I
a
don't
row.
remember, man. I don't remember. It was such a blur. It's fantastic.
Well, it's also crazy that Tom Brady used to play on this Bucks or on the Bucks literally a year ago, and it feels like he's already been retired for 5 years. Like it's just how much this. I mean, we're heading into week 9. It feels like we've literally played 2 full seasons of football already. It's just insane. But right now, the NFC South, and we can move to the next game that takes place in there. Falcons at top at 4-4, Saints 4-4, Buccaneers 3-4, and then Panthers 1-6. Which let's move Casino to that Falcons game. Just again with every team in this division, specifically the Saints and the Falcons. I don't know what either of these teams are because the Falcons. Oh, where was that game? Who did the
Where was
Falcons
it?
play?
Tennessee.
No, the Falcons. The Falcons.
The
Oh,
Falcons played Tennessee. Well,
that's
they
what it
played
was.
actually. It was really cool. They played the Oilers, which I thought was. I liked that. I liked that they did this whole week and they did the like retro. Not even just like retro logos. Like they went old school jerseys and everything. Like the
Yeah,
Lions last night, they looked awesome. That blue and silver just last night was really, really sharp. Um,
I do not understand why NFL doesn't just do like a throwback week where
well,
every
this kind of
team.
felt like it. Like almost every team did.
Yeah. Yeah, but then the Eagles did their throwbacks last week. So I don't know if I like it more where it's spaced out or where if they would just dedicate like 1 week to it. But I also do think that most of the throwbacks look better and they should wear them minimum 4 games a year. Like Eagles Kelly Green should be worn on every primetime game. I think that's the
Yeah,
consensus
maybe
across
maybe
the board.
make that up the prime time. Make that how about that? Anytime that you
Yeah.
have a prime time game, you got to go to your throwback jersey.
Even if it's the what is it, Buccaneers creamsicle ones, which everybody hates. I kind of like. I kind of like the creamsicle ones.
No, no.
Uh
Okay,
top
maybe.
top 3 throwbacks for you.
Oh,
One or no, I not throwbacks, alternates. Cuz I would go one. My favorite alternate is Eagles Kelly Green. Obviously I'm biased, I'm an Eagles fan. 2, that Bengals one where they go white and black.
yeah,
That one.
we talked about that one. That was so
Ooh.
sharp.
And then I think 3 would be the Oilers. That is a really nice looking uniform. It just looks very clean.
Yeah. Um. Ooh, I like the in no particular order. I liked from what I've seen so far this year because it's been so many, um, like different versions of things throughout the years. I do like the Bengals that I talked about it on here. That white and black was so sharp. Looked really,
Mhm.
really good. Those helmets popped.
Yeah.
Um, Oilers. I mean, that's a classic team. That's a classic color. I like those. That really light blue, that sky blue, some would call it.
Yeah.
Very,
Well,
very
that's also
very,
why
very tasteful.
the Chargers, every version of their like powder blue jersey, either the throwbacks or like the alternate, they have the best jerseys in like the NFL. When they
Mhm.
go light blue. Their dark blue's fine, but light blue. Ooh.
But yeah, and then I would say that the Lions last night, because that, like, it was like that silver was like almost like that awesome spray paint silver. Just
Yeah.
it looked good. It
No,
looked
that did look
really,
good.
really good last night. And I liked how the lion was like elongated and whatnot, like with the stripe across the helmet. I was like, that's pretty sharp.
Oh, it looks so good. But speaking of looks
You
so
look
good,
good.
Casino, thank you so much.
You're welcome.
The Titans beat the Falcons. Oh, you look well as
Oh,
you
thank
look
you, man.
nice
All
as
right,
well,
sweet.
Casino. I
Yeah,
love that
it's the
turtleneck.
turtleneck. I know. Thank you.
Yeah. But you know who could also rock a turtleneck is Will Levis,
Look at my widow's
Casino,
peak. Oh my
because
gosh. Look at that. Woo.
Ugh,
Yeah, I know.
mine's
It,
kind of mine's kind of got that slant too.
yeah, I mean, my hair just covers it up a little bit. Yours is pretty just out there. I mean, somebody could smack you with two hands on that forehead.
Yeah, I got a big forehead. And
You
this
do.
camera, I think this will help. This will make it look smaller.
And yes, we are very kind to each other, love. I mean, I look like a ghost right now because I'm getting that wonderful lighting. I'm white, man. I am white.
I don't think it's the light. You
Oh, thanks,
are
man.
in person. You are
I'm
also
pale.
very white.
I'm pale.
Dude, I am very white
I
too,
don't know
but my
how I'm
head
pale
always
living in
on this
Las Vegas. I
podcast.
really don't know.
Well, it's either that or red. It's not like you
So
would tan.
funny story. So that weekend that I went, I mean, like I said, this show's off the rails. We'll get to some sports if we want to get to some sports. It's fine. So that weekend that the Patriots were in town, that Saturday, I went to Stadium Swim, and had a couple friends in town. Victor, hey, what's up, man? I know you're listening or watching or however you're doing it. But I got, man, they made so much fun of me. My brother comped a couple spray sunscreens. Well, before they even got there, I pretty much used one can for like the first 3 hours because I was just kept spraying. My brother's like, "How in the hell did you use an entire spray can in like 3 hours?" And I was like, "Well, I'm white." He's like, "Yeah, now you're gonna stay white." And I was like, "Yeah, that's true."
Yeah. That's why you got to just cover yourself in what?
But then I burn.
Coconut oil?
I don't know, but then I burn and then I get skin cancer and then that's all I need.
And then who's going to be doing this podcast with me? No one. That's who.
Yeah.
No
Somebody
one.
that's more qualified than me.
Oh, well, the list is long. But no. We're mean. Casino, I apologize. Your turtleneck looks great. You're not
We're
as white
mean.
as I
We're
originally
mean girls. We're mean girls.
We're fetch. It's very fetch.
It's not happening
So
right now.
let's
It's not happening right now.
Well, if you're not streets ahead, you're streets behind.
There it is.
But let's
All right. Back to sports, I guess.
Let's talk about this Falcons Titans game, Casino. The Titans pull off the victory 28-23. They are now 3-4. The Falcons fall to 4-4, still first place in the NFC South. Will Levis doesn't just put mayonnaise in his coffee, he puts the ball in the end zone, right, Casino? Because four touchdowns in his debut, 19 of 29, 238 yards, 4 touchdowns. Derrick Henry over 100 yards. Apparently he's also not getting traded, even though everybody on the internet was like, they're trading Derrick Henry. And then the Titans were like, no, we're not. Like,
yeah, no.
like,
it's funny. I really feel like a lot of the media and fans are trying to make this like the NBA, where it's like they're trying to give so much media power to these athletes, to these players, to give them the leverage. I don't like that.
It's also that thing of where any star player on any bad team, they're just like, this star player's got to go to a good team. And it's just like, that's not, like you're saying, that's not how it works. Like, it just, all the good teams are good because they've spent all their money. Like, they have no more money to get, like a Derrick Henry or.
Oh, is that why the Patriots are bad? Because they have the third highest cap space going into next year? Oh,
yeah. This might be shocking, I know. But
Yeah,
Yeah,
and
it's also
we're looking also to trade Uchi, which okay, cool. Yay. Just keep getting rid of more players. Like that's fine. Just okay.
uh but thoughts, Casino, on, or also DeAndre Hopkins had a huge game. 4 receptions, 128 yards, 3 touchdowns. Thoughts on Will
Yeah,
Levis?
I'm
Is this
that I
just
wish that he stayed. I wish he went to the Patriots. Wouldn't have changed anything, but I wish he went.
yeah.
It would have
I
made me
wish
feel better.
I just wish you went to a more exciting team because the Titans are just like such a nothing to me. So that, I mean, I kind of played my hand in this question, but is this something for the Titans, or was this that classic thing where quarterback comes in, they have no tape on him, he runs wild, and then next week he has 2 interceptions, no touchdowns, and then everybody's like, "What happened? He was so
I'm
great
gonna
last
chalk it
week."
up to that. I'm gonna chalk it up to that because he did have help with his 2 superstars, with Hopkins, with Henry. He got the help he needed. So I'm gonna chalk it up to that. The rest of that team
Yeah.
made him look better. I'm not saying he played bad. I'm not saying he played bad at all. Obviously, he played really good, but um, I wouldn't be shocked if he drops off.
Well, also, it's really tough because he has to immediately go from this game to Thursday night football against the Steelers. So that Steelers defense at the moment is pretty hot or cold, but I mean, they're still in the league. Oh, maybe much colder than I thought they were. They're 30th in the league, but I think against the pass, oh, 24th. So I don't know what I'm talking about. I'm giving the Steelers defense credit just off name alone. So maybe he goes Thursday night and just lights up the Steelers as well. And then everybody has to start having a conversation about Will Levis that is about what he puts in his coffee, or how hot his girlfriend was on draft night, or
I
didn't he
mean,
eat a banana with the
something
peel
like
on or something?
I don't know. It's something weird. I remember there being a
So it
weird
was
story about him.
So it was coffee, banana, and his girlfriend. So all of his eating habits. Why are we talking about? That was a good. uh,
Wow. Did you just say that on the spot, or did you have that
I
loaded
did.
up?
No, and I said those 3 in a row. I was like, what? One of these things is not like the other, and then I thought, how can I connect them? That was the
I'm gonna
way.
help put the kid down, so I'll be right back. Continue.
You got it. On the other end with the Falcons, we had I mean, this week we had a litany of quarterback injuries. This one originally thought was an injury, and then apparently it was revealed that they just didn't think he was playing well. So he got pulled from the game and benched after halftime. And that is Desmond Ritter of the Falcons. He got benched. Tyler Heineke comes in 12 for 21, 175 yards, 1 touchdown. From what I've seen from Heineke last year as an Eagles fan, obviously they beat the Eagles when they were undefeated when he was on the Commanders. And then from what I saw in this game, I think he's a definite upgrade. I don't think anybody has been crazy about Desmond Ritter. I know on this podcast we've talked a lot about, like, he's fine, he's serviceable, but there's nothing that really he does in any of the games that makes you go like, wow, this guy definitely has to keep being a starting quarterback. Like, it just feels like, I don't know, backup written all over him. He's 6 for 6 this year with 1,700 yards, and his QBRs are fine. But again,
Who the hell are we
thoughts,
talking about?
Desmond Ritter. So he
Yeah.
got benched after halftime, and then Taylor Heineke came in. Do you think it's an upgrade?
Yeah, I do. Which is not saying much. I mean, it's Heineke, but I remember last year you were super high on Heineke. You were going to start drinking the Heineken beers and
I
do the
was.
whole thing.
Yeah. And he beat the
Heineke,
Eagles, and
he's a quarterback in the NFL, love. And
uh
no, he's not very good. She goes, he might not. He guess he's not very good because she's never heard of him. So maybe going from what the wife said, not an upgrade, parallel. We're going
Whoa.
right. We're going parallel here.
I didn't know you were married to Skip Bayless with that hot take. Hot take.
skip.
Let's just
God,
stay
I'm getting
in
the
this.
death stare. This is great. I know you don't
Let's
understand.
stay in this division casino, and
You
we just
got it.
have to lightly talk about this game because there's two games I feel like everybody had on their this team will definitely win, and so I'm betting with this team, and that was the Texans over the Carolina Panthers.
Yeah.
We both picked the Texans as well. They fall to the Panthers 15-13.
I
CJ
don't get it.
Stroud didn't even have a bad game. He just kind of had just a nothing burger, like no touchdowns, no interceptions, a little bit of yards, or he had a rushing touchdown. On the other hand, Bryce Young, pretty decent game, 22 for 31, 235 yards, one touchdown, but this game was ugly. It was
Dude, I watched the very end of it. Started watching that horrible field goal to win it, like where it was like, oh, messing with the passer or messing with the passer, roughing the kicker, this and that, and blah blah blah. And it like took like honestly 10 minutes just to kick the damn field goal to win it. It was so
yeah.
frustrating.
Ugh.
I was
But I don't think Panthers do anything. I don't think they have no
no.
incentive to tank or play bad.
I was excited that the Panthers won because now that means, with the Patriots continuing to lose, I'm like, all right, Panthers, just win, just keep winning a little bit more. Come on, Bears, win a little bit more. The Patriots need that number one.
I mean, it might be hard for the Bears to win a little bit more. We'll get to that one. But I mean, Panthers didn't look much better. But let's
No.
move to the Thursday night game. We're just jumping all over. The
Oh
Buffalo
yeah,
Bills win
we got way too much to
24
cover.
to
We just got to
18
roll.
against the Tampa Bay Bucks. The Buffalo Bills are 5-3. Tampa Bay is 3-4.
They looked okay.
The Bucks could have won this game if literally any of the Buccaneers wide receivers acted like they were trying to catch the Hail Mary. Like it landed almost in the middle of three of them who looked like they were wide open. So the Buccaneers, I don't think this game was as close as this score indicates. I think the game was closer than this score
There it is.
indicates because the Buffalo Bills were winning almost this entire game, and it never felt like they were gonna like blow them out or run away with this game.
Well,
It
yeah,
kind of
because
felt
Tampa
like,
was right within reach almost the entire game.
yeah. But even then, at the end, remember they needed the touchdown in the fourth quarter and the 2-point conversion, and then they need to get it back and do a Hail Mary, and it kind of felt like Buffalo was like just keeping them around, and then they lose on a Hail Mary. But what is your confidence level at the moment in Buffalo?
Um, 60-40 confident on them. 60-40. They're
Yeah.
two. We talked about it a little bit last podcast, whenever that was. I don't recall, but it was, yeah, it's been way too long. But it was way up and down. Like they are very inconsistent. One week everybody's clicking. Everybody's on the same page. Just boom, the car is running great. Then the next week you get a lemon. I don't know.
Well, for this Bills team, I mean, they legit haven't played a good game. It's about to be November 1st tomorrow. The last good game they played was October 1st. So literally, they had an entire month where they lost to the Jags. They should have lost to the Giants on that pass interference. And then the next play was pass interference that just wasn't called. And then against the Patriots, they lost to the Patriots by 4. And then they almost lose to this Buccaneers team. Like for a month, they haven't played good. And then Sunday night, they play the Bengals in Cincinnati. So with the Bengals catching fire, and we can jump to that game, but with the Bengals catching fire and the Bills kind of trailing off, I mean, this feels like remember that Monday night game started to feel like last year before obviously they had to cancel it because of the DeMar Hamlin thing. But the first drive of the game, Bengals went right down the field and scored, stopped the Bills, and then the Bengals were going right back down to score again. And then obviously the game had to be stopped. But that really had the feeling like this is going to be a blowout. So this is the rematch. And yeah, I don't know. I don't see any different of why the Bills would win this one. But then again,
I don't.
nobody thought they would win the Miami game, and then they blow them out by 4 touchdowns. So this
Oh,
Bills. It doesn't
We've
make
kind of
sense.
talked about Miami, where Miami again, they're just a fast team. They're just fast. I mean, I watched all that Patriot Miami game. Um,
Actually, let's move to that one.
yeah, I mean, I
Uh,
watched it. I watched every bit of that game, and honestly, it was just speed. It just kept just outrunning, outworking the Patriots. Like it was just what it was. I mean, passing like Tua. Ugh, gosh, is he good?
when everything
He's
is
so good.
clicking, he looks like the best quarterback in the league. Like
Oh
he
yeah,
really does. So the Miami Dolphins improved to 6-2, winning 31-17 against your New England Patriots, who are 2-6.
dude, he
Uh,
hit 10 different receivers.
but you know what? Mac Jones, besides that terrible, terrible pick, what was it? That was a pick six, wasn't it? His interception?
Who? What? Where?
Mac Jones in this
I'm
game.
sure it was, dude. I was well. So when I say I watched all this game, I was golfing. So anytime that I had to go and hit the ball and get back to the cart, so yeah, I lucked out on that one. Normally with
Do
kids
you
now, I shouldn't be golfing, but um, the
There you
wife said,
go.
well, here it was with the wife's coworker, and earlier that week he hit me up, and I was like, I didn't respond. I was like, yeah, I'm not gonna go. And then the wife was like, oh, you're gonna go and play golf with Diaz, and I was like, oh, am I? Wink, wink. And yeah. So long story short, I love that when he hits me up because then I can go golf.
Well,
It's
there
great.
you go. There you go. But
Sorry.
when
I
it
gotta stop with
comes
my stories. Today's not the day for stories.
I mean, we do have a lot to cover. But also, I want to hear about you.
Thanks.
But in this Dolphins Patriots game, Casino, how legit of a team do you think the Dolphins are? Because they kind of give off the cowboy vibe in the AFC, which is when this team plays a bad team, they're going to blow them out and murder them. When they play a good team, they are either going to lose in close fashion or just get completely blown out. So, how legitimate do you think this Dolphins team is, especially in an AFC with, Mahomes and Lamar Jackson, and now the Bengals reemerging?
Um, I think they're pretty legitimate still. I mean, they just have to find the workaround of getting beat to shit by tougher teams, by more physical teams. Um, that's honestly how it works. If they can figure out how to beat teams with speed, how to design plays to not to avoid the contact, they're gonna do just fine. I think this
Yeah.
team's gonna figure it out. I have full faith in Mike McDaniel. I think he's an outstanding coach. Not just I think that he's a cool dude, um, but I think he's a really good coach, and I think he adapts. He tries to adapt as the season goes on, and he figures things out. So, I mean, that's much different than like older generation coaches where they're like, "We're gonna stick to this. Here's our game plan. We're gonna stick to it."
Yeah.
So, I mean,
Well,
and that was my Belichick impression.
that
So,
was, I mean, great impression. But also, and we'll talk
yeah.
about this week's games, this week's games on the next episode this week. But Dolphins Chiefs this weekend for maybe the number one seed. So if the Dolphins just go in there and just blow the doors off the Chiefs, like I
And
think that will.
I think it's gonna happen.
Ooh.
I'm calling Dolphins.
Oh shit. Okay. I
I
mean, that's upset.
I know the Chiefs. Well, here's the thing. I know the Chiefs are pissed that they just got blown out by the fucking Broncos.
Which we will get to.
But so let's just you know what? I'm moving over there. We're
Oh
gonna talk about
shit.
that. We gotta get Broncos Chiefs. Oof. Oof, what a game. Oh, Mahomes. I love that I keep sending you like and you haven't responded to really any of them. But like all those little videos of like, oh Mahomes, he's the greatest thing, Mahomes, oh Mahomes. And then like he throws an interception. They're like, Mahomes. Have you seen that? I sent that one to you. I
Yes.
love that
No,
one.
I watched it. Yeah.
That one makes me laugh every single time. It's just like he's good. And like he's good, but man, did he have a bad day. He had a bad day. Did you hear like did you watch this game?
No, I watched every snap of this game. This
So
game
did you hear
was
like the commentators towards the end of the game when they're giving out the stats of like Mahomes has never lost to a team that is blah blah blah, or has
Oh,
never
yeah.
done
It's
this
that,
or that.
like, bullshit ESPN thing where it's like, he's never been down 1 score against teams that are in his and it's just like, this isn't a stat. It's not a stat. You can throw in as many words as you want to make your point, and it's like, we get it. Mahomes is good. Like, we don't need all these, like, 50-word qualifiers to be like, he's never lost a one-score game, blah, 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 and it's just like, oh, also, we need to stop doing that thing where it's like he was sick, he had the flu, and then it's just like if he loses, it's like, well, they lost because he had the
Right.
flu. And then if he wins, it's like, oh my God, he won when he had the flu. It's just like, it's just if you think you can play with the flu, then just play.
Well, and that's something that I argued with somebody at my work last night about is, of course, when they're losing and it's towards it was in the fourth quarter, like Mahomes is on the sideline, and all of a sudden now the medics are looking at him, and the commentators are like, "Oh, well, it looks like he's been going through an injury, or like he doesn't look 100% right. There's got to be something wrong." And it's like, no, he had a bad game. They're just
Yeah.
finding something that they can blame it on. Taylor Swift wasn't there. Bad game. Whatever, like, or illness or this and that. Like, no, you were just it frustrates me so much
I
that they try to find something to blame. So
Yeah.
let me ask you this. Do you think it was the offense of the Chiefs just screwing up so much with three fumbles lost, two interceptions, or do you think it was just the Broncos defense saying, "Hey, we're gonna steal this one. We're gonna win this one for us, for the defense." Like Russell Wilson didn't have a bad game, but like we're gonna steal this game for the defense because we deserve this.
Well, yes, first off, and I think the most impressive thing, especially when you're talking about the Denver Broncos defense, is they held the Chiefs scoreless in the entire second half of this game, which is a thing that like never
That's not a
happens
stat.
ever.
That's not a stat.
Yeah.
That's not a stat.
But they literally held Mahomes to no touchdowns. I mean, and if you watch that game, it felt like every single time he stepped back, they were chasing him out of the pocket and he was
No,
just
he had six
running
sacks.
around. Yeah, he was always on the run. And then there was in the fourth quarter, there was that one play where he's running around like crazy. And then he just runs into the back of one of his offensive linemen and like gets sacked because of it. And it just felt like a very un-Mahomes game, but it also feels like what everybody's been saying about the Chiefs this season, which is just like when they get into these tough games where they need to pull it out, and then he can't just throw it to Travis Kelsey 25 times. Like, who's his other option? And all of his other options were dropping passes, were not making the adjustments to, get in a position where they can get a catch. Like the Broncos have the capability to have a good defense. They do not have a good defense at the moment. So for you to be shut down by this team, like again, people can do the thing where they can be like, oh man, like it's just been one bad game. The Chiefs are still 6 wins. It's like we haven't seen the Chiefs play legitimately a good game this entire season, except for they blew out the absolute worst team in the league in the Bears. So if you want to hang your hat on that and be like, that's the best game they played, then you have to look at the quality of opponent they played. Like the Broncos are a middling team in this league, and they were able to completely shut you down when Travis Kelsey just isn't getting, the catches. And I think that's been the fear that nobody wants to talk about for this Chiefs team, right? You can't just
Right.
have an F wide receiver group and just kind of skate by it with that all season. Like, I still think their defense is elite, but again, it's when you don't play complementary football and your defense just keeps going out on the field nonstop, like you're going to get blown out. We saw that with no matter how good your defense is. We saw that when the Eagles blew out the Niners defense. Speaking of Casino, what a transition. Let's talk about
Flawless.
the thank you so much.
Flawless. Yeah, it was like one of those PowerPoint transitions, man. Just flawless.
I just did that dissolve thing. dissolve. Or the Star Wars thing where it starts like this and it just goes like, oh. But let's talk about the Bengals, your Bengals, because you called them, winning against the 49ers 31-17. Uh Let's start though on the 49ers side, Casito. You said Brock Purdy was the next Tom Brady. What's going on with Tom Brady right here?
I think he's injured, personally. Um, so like there was a whole thing about concussions previous games ago, or 2 games ago. Um, Again, I haven't looked into this heavily because I've been very busy with the newborn, and then daughter breaking her collarbone, and
Jesus.
all those things. It's been fun, but going back
Get
to that,
the
I think
man.
that he's a little off. Like you even sent it to me, the video of him smacking his head last game, smacking his head on the ground and like immediately holding his head. He's already
Yeah.
been in question for not being 100%, being under concussion protocols and whatnot. So I I don't think that it's him. And everybody's like, oh well, it's also because his safety blanket's out with Debo Samuel. Well, okay, yes, Debo's good, but also last year Debo wasn't. If I recall right, Debo wasn't always there, right? He
Yeah.
wasn't. Yeah, so like, and Brock Purdy was doing just fine, and McCaffrey's coming back from injury. I just think he's a little banged up. I think he's a little off, just kind of like how Joe Burrow was to start the season. I think Brock Purdy's there. A little different circumstances. I mean, the kid still threw for 365 yards. I mean, yes, he has 2 interceptions that weren't good, but I mean, 22 for 31, 365 yards and a TD. You take those interceptions out of there, that's a damn good day.
Well,
That's a
yeah.
and he
And
he rushed for on 6 carries, he rushed for 57 yards. Like, I think he played okay. I think he did all right. I mean, George Kittle had 149 receiving yards. Like, I think just it was those 2 interceptions that did it for him. But I think that he played just fine.
well, he also had the lost fumble.
Oh
So
yeah, yeah, yeah,
again,
that's
we
true.
talked about it in the Chiefs game where if you lose the turnover battle, especially against a good team like Cincinnati, like of course you're going to get blown out. But I do think there is something, and especially with Purdy, it was weird because up until Saturday afternoon, it was like, oh, Sam Darnold's going to start this game. Like Sam Darnold is going to play this game against the Bengals, and then that made all the hot take artists be
Right.
like, "Watch, Sam Darnold's going to be an upgrade over Purdy," and all this kind of bullshit. And then it was like, all of a sudden, Purdy passed all the concussion protocols and then he was just in there, and then like that video I sent you, he gets hit, he goes to the ground, his helmet smacks against the ground, he immediately grabs his head, and then after that, much like what happened the week before, all of a sudden he's doing 2 uncharacteristic interceptions, and I believe the fumble came after that as well. So it's like this
So
thing where you
yeah,
rush somebody back from concussion protocol to
it's
play.
Tua 2.0.
It's Tua. Yeah, which is when Tua was injured last year, he was making bad decisions and having really bad games. Like acting like your head can just be all fucked up to be at one of the most cerebral positions in sports and you're just going to be fine is like an asinine take, and we just
Yeah.
all have to pretend like, oh, Purdy's bad, and there's no context to it whatsoever.
Right.
Like it's
And
just like,
people were like, "Oh, so now this is 3 straight." Well, their first loss was against the Browns where they did lose 2 of their starting offensive weapons. Um
and they
and
win
the
that game if their kicker makes a kick.
and to win that game, their kicker makes a kick, and the Browns are a good team. So I have no issue with them like that sucks that happened, but they had a chance to win and it wasn't on Purdy, and everybody's like, "Oh, it's Purdy's fault. It's Purdy's fault." No, they had a chance to win. They had a chance to win. Purdy did just fine. He kept them in the game. And in the next game, we've already talked about it last episode, or maybe I don't remember when we talked last. Maybe it was on the podcast or not. But Kirk Cousins may have had the best game of his damn career,
Oh
especially
yeah.
especially being primetime for sure. That
Yeah.
might be his best primetime game ever. And then, then you go into the 49er, or then you go into the Bengals, and Joe Burrow's getting hot right now. He's feeling good again about himself.
So
And
hot right now.
and so hot right now. And Purdy's coming off of what I still believe that he had a concussion. I don't think he passed concussion protocols. And even if he did, like, they shouldn't have played him. And now he's probably a little loopy again. So
Yeah. Well, and then I mean, the 49ers schedule after this game. This was the first game where it got like brutal. They go at Jacksonville against the Buccaneers, Seahawks, Eagles, Seahawks, Cardinals, Ravens.
yeah,
And then they finish.
you take the Cardinals out of there, and those are all tough teams.
Yeah.
Bucks are a little bit but they've been
But we at least
feisty.
know they can beat people.
Yeah,
Like,
they've been feisty, and the Seahawks, I think, are really good. I think they're so hot right now. The Eagles are really, really hot right now, and the Jags are feeling themselves as well.
well, and not only that, but you play the Seahawks, you play them once away, once at home. You play the Jaguars in Jacksonville, and then you play the Eagles in Philadelphia.
And then
So,
you go and play the Ravens, who are just an absolute powerhouse beaten team.
yeah. So, of those 5 hard games, you play 3 of them on the road. And again, one of them,
And yeah,
uh, probably your hardest one against the Eagles, you have to
and
travel to the East Coast.
and
So, it's
speaking of
like,
the Seahawks, let's just talk about that. They are now the number 1 seed in the NFC West. What? I knew
yeah.
they were going to be good. They're 5-2. Man, I like them. I like them. I think I like them. I like them. I'm glad that I picked them to make the playoffs and do well. I like them. I do. I'm happy with this pick. I'm happy with this pick.
Who did they beat the
Browns.
Browns, which I still think is an accomplishment because I think, like you said, the Browns are a really good team.
Well,
And
they did play Philip Walker,
yeah, I do think they are one of the teams
who
that I'm
showed
kind of
that why he's not the main guy.
well, also, why are the Browns not trading for Jameis Winston right now? Like Jameis Winston on this Browns team is, I think,
Do they have the
infinitely better.
money with
Oh,
that
that's true.
stupid Watson contract?
That's a good point. Probably not. Probably not. But right now, let's
Oh, and I
lump.
should have played Tyler Lockett because he crushed it, and I didn't.
But speaking of this game,
I did play
let's
Kareem Hunt, and he had a really good game, so I'll
there
take
you
that.
go. Let's lump in. We forgot to talk about the Bengals, so let's talk about the
Oh, meh.
Bengals.
They're good. They're feeling it.
Let's talk about the Bengals, Browns, and Ravens game. So Bengals won, Ravens won against a feisty Cardinals team. They only won by a touchdown. And then the Browns lose to the Seahawks. So in that AFC North casino, I always forget the Steelers. Yeah, so the Steelers also lost to the Jaguars. So in that tough
Right.
AFC
Yeah.
North, do you still think the Ravens are the best team in that division, or do you
Yes.
think the Bengals or
When
Browns can catch them?
No. Could they catch them? Possibly. I would have to look at the schedules lined up for every team. But the Ravens, when they're healthy, they're really good. They're strong, as the Ravens always are. They're a really well-run organization, as we've talked about plenty. That I like this Ravens team, and Lamar Jackson's playing really good football right now. As long as he stays healthy and the rest of the team stays healthy, this is a really good team. Um, and then the Bengals, like, yes, they're starting to win some games, but they got a lot of ground to make up. And I feel bad for the Browns because the Browns have the best defense in the league, but they just keep getting injured, one player after another.
Yep.
So
Yeah. Well, then
the
also they
Steelers
have
being 4-3, and everybody like, the Steelers, like, yeah. I'm like, no, they're gonna end the season at the bottom of this for sure.
well, they were also one of the many teams that got their quarterback injured and or knocked out of the game. So this week, Kenny Pickett
Yeah, it was
left the game in the
quarterback
second
death
quarter.
row.
Uh, Tyrod Taylor for the Giants got knocked out in the first quarter. Kirk Cousins got knocked out in the fourth quarter. Now we know he's out for the season. Matthew Stafford got injured in the Cowboys-Rams game. And then obviously we just talked about Desmond Ritter getting yanked out of that game. So right there is 5 starting quarterbacks. Some of them were already second string to begin with, getting knocked out of the game. With Kenny Pickett, against the Jaguars. Again, I said on last pod, I don't think the Jaguars are any good, but I think they're better than the Steelers, and especially better than the Steelers when the Steelers are led by Mitch Trubisky. So
I mean, the
again,
Jaguars are 6-2, so we can't say that they're awful.
I don't think they're awful. I just don't think they have shown me anything that has impressed me. Like, again, they're playing against Mitchell Trubisky and the Pittsburgh Steelers with the 27th or whatever I said earlier, 23rd ranked defense, and they put up 20 points.
Hmm.
Like, Trevor Lawrence has 24 for 32, 292 yards, a touchdown, and an interception. Like, that's again, I've said what their offense has been all year, which is pedestrian. I don't think their offense is anything to write home about at all.
Mediocre.
And again, we can look at their defense. Their defense is 24th in the league. So they can't stop anybody. They have a pedestrian defense or
Mediocre.
pedestrian offense, and they're 6-2. But it's like when they play the good teams, like even this shitty Chiefs team that we think shitty because they lost to the Broncos, they scored 9 points. Like, what are we doing here, Casino? And again, I know the Chiefs aren't shitty, but I'm saying the Chiefs losing to a shitty Broncos team. But let's go through. And as far as the Bengals, I think they have a chance to catch the Ravens, but I just think right now the Ravens in the AFC is probably the team I trust the most. They just look the most complete. But again, we need to see what Lamar Jackson does in the playoffs because he's been in this league for a while and has literally zero playoff, I think, victories, but also just like zero playoff experience almost. I remember that first game they played against the Chargers where he just got absolutely destroyed. But the game we missed, Casino, and we just touched on Matthew Stafford getting knocked out of it. The Cowboys blow out the Rams 43-20. The Cowboys are now 5-2. They are going into Philadelphia this week to play the Eagles. Thoughts on obviously the Rams? We've talked about it. They kind of don't have anybody on defense. Their offense, when it's clicking, is good, but again, they just feel like they just don't have enough pieces. But what are your thoughts on this Dallas Cowboys team?
Same. They haven't wavered at all. They haven't wavered at all. I think that they're smoke and mirrors. I really do. And that's not just because of my hate for the Cowboys. I just don't see it, man. I mean, that was a great game by Dak Prescott. Great game. Fantastic. Probably top 5 of his best games. I don't know. But again, I think they're only as good as he plays. Next week, you can reverse all of those stats. 4 interceptions, 1 TD, and that's really realistic. That's realistic with him. We all know it is.
Yeah.
Without him being concussed. So I think they're all smoke and mirrors. I think they go into the Eagles next week and just get absolutely whomped. The Eagles are my pick for that next week. I think they're going to get absolutely whomped.
Oh, I mean, that just made me all hot and bothered you saying that. That's what I'm hoping. But again, I don't know what this Cowboys team is because again, we've seen them do really impressive blowouts and then get blown out by a 49ers team that right after that blowout, all of a sudden it was like they couldn't score and were having issues. And then it was just like, but if they're not as good as we thought they were, how were they able to blow out the Cowboys so much? And then it's also like, I think the worst wins the worst losses of the season, we can talk Eagles Jets, we can talk Broncos Chiefs, but Cardinals Cowboys, the Cardinals, that's their only win. And now the Cardinals have been feisty, but again, they're 1-7. So for that one win to be over this Cowboys team, I just think that, and again, the Cowboys were coming off 2 back-to-back blowout wins, and then they, after that game, had another blowout win, and then they got blown out, and then they won by 3 against a Chargers team that I still don't think is any good, and then against this Rams team. Matthew Stafford gets knocked out early and then they win by 3 touchdowns and everybody's acting like they beat the Rams team that went to the Super Bowl, right? It's like not the same kind of Rams team. So, as a Cowboys hater, much like yourself, I'm not saying the Cowboys aren't good. I'm just saying I don't know how to evaluate this team because, like you said, every week they are literally anything could happen. They could get blown out, they could blow out somebody, or they could squeak by and win or lose a 3-point game. Like, I
Mhm.
just don't think there's a track record to point to them and be like, this is who
Right.
they are.
Last game that I want to talk about. I mean, I'm gonna just real quick say the Lions, 6-2. I love it. They're great.
Yeah, your
Let's
Super Bowl
go.
pick.
Super Bowl
And
pick.
nothing really, I mean,
But
we kinda already touched on the Devontae Adams stuff. That was really
right.
the only news coming out of that game.
Did you
Like,
watch the Giants Jets game and how that ended?
no, I didn't watch
Oh,
any of this game. I had no interest.
oh, dude, it was a phenomenal ending to it. So like the Giants were up and the Jets were able to get a late field goal, like with like they had like 30 seconds left in the game to go down to get a field goal to send it into OT, like this whole thing. And then they took it into OT and then they scored a field goal in OT. Check it out. It's awesome. I won't go into more because we have other things to talk about, but
Well, also, the
I'm
Giants
so happy.
being
I'm so happy. Like I remember looking at the score like with like a minute to go, and I'm like, ah, damn, I got that one wrong. Got that pick wrong. And then like I walk away, and the afternoon game started going, and I put on Red Zone, and all of a sudden I'm like, Jets Giants and OT. Wait, what? And I had to go back and check that out. But
Well,
yeah,
who will ever forget
Jets, Jets.
the Giants being led at the end there by Tommy DeVito, who went 2 for 7 for -1 yards.
Yeah.
What a stat line. Tommy DeVito, first
Well,
off,
yeah, but
great
then
name.
Tyrod Taylor 4 for 7 for 8 yards. Woo.
Woo.
Dude,
Well, at least he
Saquon
got
Barkley, I
injured.
hope I hope the entire I hope the entire team buys. I know they lost, but buy Saquon Barkley like a steak dinner because that dude 36 carries. Holy shit.
Yeah. Last 2 games we haven't talked about. I don't really think there's anything to talk about in
I
either
f-
of them.
Apparently I forgot
Chargers
about him.
Chargers blow out the Bears. I watched the first
Yeah,
half or
yeah.
second half of that game. There was nothing. The Bears that
I
backup
tr-
quarterback
I
was
was
nothing.
trying. I was trying.
It
I
was
was
that was a
reaching.
rough
I was
watch.
reaching.
Then my Eagles beat the Commanders 38-31.
That was a very interesting game.
That score is not indicative to the second half of this game. The first half of this game, I literally turned to my wife where we went to go see this game at our Eagles bar. Going into halftime, it was 17-10. And I turned to my wife and I was like, Commanders always play the Eagles hard. The Commanders are going to win this game. And then the Eagles completely dominate the second half, and the Commanders get like a late garbage time touchdown, or the Eagles were winning this game by 2 touchdowns. I just think that Eric Bieniemy has the Eagles number. He always plays really
He's the
great
enemy.
against. I'm sorry. What'd
I
you
said
say?
he's the enemy.
He is the enemy to me because he's so damn good,
Get
and I
it?
really
Because he's
hope
the enemy.
and I really hope he gets a head coaching job out of the NFC East next year because I really do think we just lost Casino. I really do think that the Commanders' offense is only as good as Bieniemy will take them. I don't hate Sam Howland. In that game, he was really good, but Jalen Hurts on the other end, 319 yards, 4 touchdowns, no interceptions. He had that weird fumble on the brotherly shove that just I don't know what happened there, but uh 4 touchdowns. That was maybe one of the best games he played in his career. AJ Brown's continues his historic streak. And then yeah, we're getting ready for Eagles Cowboys next week. So that is all for I don't know where Casino went. Do I have to add him back in the mix here? Yes, I do.
I'm right. I'm
There
right
he
here.
is.
I've been doing this for
I
like
was full
a good.
screen.
I'm doing this like a full minute, and I'm like, I'm right here.
I know I had the full screen, so I wasn't seeing you at the
It
bottom.
dropped, and I immediately came back in, but I had you to have to. I had to wait for you to add me, and I'm just like sitting there, in the background. Anyway,
But
but I heard
we
what
are
all the stuff
done.
you were saying.
We are done with football casino. So let's talk about other things going on in the world.
Um,
Go casino.
Quickly, yeah. Well, baseball. We have 3 games down in the World Series.
Dude,
Uh,
I'm
sorry about
so not
sorry about your
interested in this
Phillies who
series.
lost two
Ugh.
at home. Two at
I'm
home.
sorry for just baseball fans. This is legitimately such a uninteresting, boring
Well,
matchup.
you know what? Philly,
Like,
be better.
ugh.
Be better, Philly. Be better.
I mean, I agree.
So
Ugh.
you know what was really great though, and I loved every second of this. So and it's not because the Phillies lost. I was actually, hoping I wanted the Phillies to lose because I don't like Bryce Harper, and
Yeah.
I wanted Arizona. But I know you're a Phillies fan, so it would have been cool. Like, hey, cool, my buddy's team got in. But as soon as they lost, I just thought about all the bars in Philly watching that baseball game and losing, and then immediately changing it over to the hockey game where the Vegas Golden Knights were playing the Flyers. And right after you flipped it over, the Vegas scores a goal. Like, no joke. We was probably within 30 to 40 seconds after the World Series ended. If people were quick on their remote and they switched over to the Flyers game, Vegas scores. Like it, and then Vegas ends up winning that game, but it should have just gutted you. I thought it was funny. Sad fans make me happy. Um,
That
but
is a
uh,
fact. We know. We
but
know.
uh, yeah. So game one, that was a thriller. Arizona had it in the bag. It was 5-3, and then Corey Seager comes up, hits a 2-run homer in the ninth, goes into extra innings, and in the 10th, their main guy, why am I blanking on his name? Hit the walk off homer. Uh, Gosh darn it, I'm totally blanking on his name. Well, the Rangers main guy, he gets hit in the. Oh my gosh, why am I blanking? Um, game. It's literally right on the tip of my tongue. Walk off. Thanks for the help on that one. There we go. Garcia.
I got nothing.
Uh,
I
yeah,
got
no, it
nothing.
was fine. Uh, Adolis Garcia, however you say his name. But anyway, I watched that entire thing. Everybody at my bar was cheering for the Diamondbacks, me included. But so in the 10th, he gets rocked on the arm and like wrist area, and everybody's like, "Ooh, we're right on his wrist." I thought it hit his elbow or elbow pad. It smoked his wrist. He's walking around. He takes his walk. We're like, okay, this is going to be a rough rest of the game for him. He might not come back. Well, he comes back in the 11th because they hit enough, got into the rotation, and he hits the walk off homer to win the game. So that's pretty cool. I don't want Rangers to win at all. I'm not a Texas sports team guy. Neither are you. But
No.
that was a cool walk off. Next game though, Arizona absolutely routs the Rangers 9-1, and then it was a close 3-1 victory this last game. So yeah, pretty interesting World Series so far. I'm digging it. I'm digging it. But yeah,
I am not. I am not. I don't like this matchup. I don't think the first game was very good. I like that game, but the second game was a fucking snooze fest. And then we have I didn't watch any of game 3, and then game 4 we have on Halloween night. So again, MLB doing their best to be the dumbest schedulers of how you can watch their games on
hmm
planet Earth.
yeah,
But the other news casino that happened literally yesterday before we hop
yeah.
on this
I have it pulled
podcast
up too.
was that James Harden has officially been
Oh, that
traded.
wasn't I was going to talk about. But
Oh, what
yes,
was the one you were going to talk
I
about?
was going to go sad and talk about Adam Johnson, the hockey player.
Oh, yeah, let's end on the Harden thing. So go
Yeah.
ahead, because this
Uh,
story is very
yeah,
sad.
it's gruesome and sad. So a former Penguins player for the NHL, Adam Johnson, uh, passed away last night. He was playing in England and not in the NHL, but he was playing in England and took a questionable high skate to the neck and did not make it out of the arena. He
Ugh.
passed away on the ice.
And this game
Um,
was live on television, wasn't it?
I over there, I would believe so. I mean, I
Ugh.
I didn't look into that, but a lot of people are calling for the player who literally brought up his skate should be charged with manslaughter.
Jesus.
I'm oof. I, I don't I don't know.
Yeah,
I don't want to say that's a
that's a
tough one
real
because like
ugh.
unless you're on skates and like cuz he said, "Oh, I was trying to regain my balance or this or that." Like I don't know how much I buy all that. So far the police are investigating it, but it's called a freak accident right now. It looked like he deliberately brought up his skate. I don't know if he meant I maybe he meant to like trip him or like interference with the leg. I don't think if he did mean to do this, like lift up his leg. I don't obviously he didn't mean to slice the guy's throat and kill him. But yeah, it's wild story. So there's your Halloween story.
Oh my gosh.
Um, don't
Ugh.
watch the video.
No, I don't. What is it? I remember this happened. I think it was in a college hockey game a couple years ago, didn't it? Where somebody, but that one was like somebody was falling to the ground and his skate came up and just sliced the guy's neck. I believe that guy lived, but
Well, there's
the
there's I don't know about the college one, but I mean, there's been players before in the pros that have had their neck sliced and
ugh,
like you just see the blood going and they're skating off holding their neck and they've survived. But I mean, no, there has been other players who have died from slice,
as a
like from bleeding
casual
out.
as a casual hockey fan who didn't watch any hockey before Las Vegas got the Golden Knights, why do they not wear like, oh, I don't know,
They're
like a turtleneck?
they're talking about now after this implementing it and making it mandatory next year.
I mean, I feel like that's I mean, they wear so many pads and stuff like that where it's literally like your face even has the face shield. So it's literally like your neck is the only exposed part on a hockey out or a hockey uniform. It feels weird because the neck is one of the most vulnerable positions, but I don't know. But again, it is like such a freak accident. I don't know. But again, if it saves one guy, like why not? I don't know.
Yeah.
But
Anyway, James
let's
Harden leaving your team,
yeah. Let's
going
move off the
down to
sad
LA.
story to a I don't know if this is a sad story. I don't know. Uh
For you, it is.
I kind of wanted him gone. I just
Now,
wish they would have got
ooh,
more back for him. So last night, late last night, I remember like it was like midnight our time, maybe like a little bit earlier, maybe 11 West Coast time where this news broke, but it was James Harden has been sent to the LA Clippers. The Sixers send Harden, PJ Tucker, and Philip Kucherov. I
poo-poosh.
mean, yeah. To the Clippers for Marcus Morris, Robert Covington, Nick Batum, KJ Martin, a 2028 unprotected first round pick. I don't know if you looked at the calendar today, Casino, but we're
No,
in the
I
year
have no idea what day it is.
2023. Yeah. So a 2028 first round pick, dear Lord. 2 second round picks and a 2029 pick swap. I don't know if you've looked at the calendar or not, Casino, but we are in the year 2023 and the Sixers got 2028 and 2029 draft picks. So that is, I think, more concerning to oh, they also got a additional first round pick from the Oklahoma City Thunders. uh then the Sixers waived Danny Green, who hasn't been doing anything to make room for all their new additions. So right now the Clippers have Kawhi Leonard, Paul George, Russell Westbrook, and the Houston Rockets, aka the Infinity Gauntlet of players who have not done anything in this league in the past 5 years. Like, I mean, Kawhi Leonard won 2 championships and then since then tries his best to play 20 games a year, if that. Paul George, I think, is past his prime. Russell Westbrook, I mean, he was coming off the bench for most teams in the league before he went to the Clippers last year. And then James Harden had his first playoff success last year in, I think, 2 games, and then shit the bed in game 7, and here we are. So, as a Sixers fan, I'm fine with this move. They haven't been playing with James Harden at all this season, and because obviously he said all the shit about Daryl Morey in the offseason, and which I actually thought was funny. I'm
Yeah,
sure,
it was pretty funny.
but it was also the
Harden off the court is pretty just fun to
liked,
follow.
yeah. Off the court, he's a top 5 NBA player. On the court, he's a top 5 NBA player in 15 games a year, if that. Like, I mean, which seeing him again in the playoffs where he was able to show why he's so great, and then he would just play 2 great games and then disappear for 4, you were kind of like, oh, this is why this is his 7th team in 8 years, like,
Yeah.
or whatever the fucking crazy stat is right now. The Sixers are 2-1 right now. They still have Joel Embiid, the reigning MVP. Tyrese Maxey has kind of come on, which is what happened last year, where anytime Harden wasn't playing, Maxey kind of went off. And I think that also facilitated this trade, because it was kind of like, we have this young guy right here who, when James Harden isn't on the court, kind of becomes the number 2 of this team. Well, definitely now becomes the number 2 of this team. It kind of takes it over. But yeah, we haven't really talked about the NBA because we missed a podcast before
We've
the
missed
NBA
like
season
4
started.
podcasts in the last 5 weeks or something like that.
Yeah. But Nuggets, I just think to do a quick, I mean, we'll do this for literally 2 minutes because I don't think there's going to be many surprises. In the West, I think it's the Nuggets. I think it is the
I
Warriors.
was not
who look
prepared for
pretty
this,
damn
so I don't
great.
know. I haven't done any research on the NBA.
I think, well, also it's super early in the season. I literally think it just pans out to where Nuggets, Warriors, Lakers are going to be the top 4 teams. I think the Suns and Mavericks, Suns look weird. I don't know how well this Chris Paul thing is going to work for that team. Or no, I'm sorry. The Chris Paul on the Warriors looks weird. The Suns without Chris Paul are just, I don't know. I don't like their bench. I don't like their role players, but they still have Devin Booker and Kevin Durant, so they could easily be, and I think they will be, a top 5 team in the West. The Warriors, Steph Curry's going off. If he can do this for another season, I really do think we need to start putting him in the conversation of like top 8 greatest NBA player of all time, because people said he was out of his prime 3 years ago, and now all of a sudden he's just like back to being maybe the best player on the court in almost every game he plays, except when they play obviously Jokic, or maybe that's it. Maybe Jokic is the only one better than him. But in the West, I really do think it finishes Nuggets, Warriors, Lakers, and then I think Thunder, Suns, Kings, now
agree with you.
Clippers, maybe.
Sure.
Yeah, but I do think it's just East or West. Nuggets are undefeated. They look better than they did last year.
Hot take. Every single team that you said does not make the playoffs. Hot take.
Oh, shit. Skip Bayless is rubbing off on you over there, because that is the hottest of hot takes. But on the East, it is Celtics right now at the top. Bucks.
I've watched the first game of the Celtics, and Porzingis, man.
Dude,
I like him over there.
The Celtics, I think, will reign supreme in the East. But then again, the Bucks with Damian Lillard. I mean, that is
the Bucks with Lillard. It comes down to the Bucks with Lillard and the Celtics with Porzingis.
Yeah. And then I think Sixers will do what they always do and finish 3rd and then lose in the playoffs. And then it'll be Celtics, Buccaneers again. Heat right now are 1-3. But again, if they can just get into the playoffs,
they're not hot right now.
All bets are off. They're not hot right now. But I do think my prediction is the Nuggets just repeat, and I think they do it easily. I don't think anyone in this league is on their level. And I think they've already shown that they are so much better than everybody in the league right now. And I think it's going to be Celtics, Nuggets finals, and then the Nuggets win in 6. That's my bold prediction. Anything you want to say, Casino, before we head out of here?
No.
Don't be sad because it's over, Casino. Be
Oklahoma
happy
lost.
because it happened. Oh, that's right. Next episode, I do want to talk more college football because this was a
We,
good college football.
I know we've talked about everything. We haven't done it.
But this is going to be maybe the best week so far in
And this is perfect
NFL.
timing because my child that I put down is now waking up. So now I don't get a nap.
See, there you
Awesome.
go. Yeah,
Sweet.
you're welcome.
This is great.
But we'll be back hopefully later this week. We're planning to, we'll see, but we're also going to talk about week 9 in the NFL, which has 6 of maybe the best games so far this year, just all in 1 week. So it's going to be a good week, Casino. College football's heating up. We'll talk about the first official rankings,
One
and
would
we'll talk about some
say
of marquee games.
it's so hot right now.
College football. You know what? Football in general, so hot right now. So hot right now.
I think I know our thumbnail.
Yeah. Oh, that's a good pick, Casino. I'm Will. That's Casino over there. This has been the Only Sports Podcast, and happy Halloween. You got the trick and the treat right here on the show. All right, I really gotta go. Adios.